What's up everybody? Today I will be ranking the roller coasters of Walt Disney World, and this video has been a long time coming, but due to some of my hot takes, I was hesitant to put this one out. Let me just remind you that this is just my personal opinion, and if you disagree, that is 100% okay. My only real criteria is how much I enjoy the ride and basically nothing else. Of course, bias or nostalgia may play a factor here, but I'm going to go solely based off of how much I enjoy the ride. In our last place spot, I'm putting the Barnstormer, and this is a coaster meant for the younger audience, so this does not mean by any means that it's a bad ride. It's just a really short kiddie coaster that younger kids will love, but adults really won't get much out of. I used to love this thing when I was a kid, so it gets some bonus points there, but it really is just your typical kiddie coaster that you can find pretty much anywhere. It of course has its place in the lineup of rides at Magic Kingdom because the little ones need a coaster to ride before tackling rides like Big Thunder Mountain or Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Okay, moving on to number 8. And also the first hot take on my list, I'm putting Slinky Dog Dash here. This roller coaster is definitely geared more towards families, which again doesn't make it a bad ride, it just means I'm not the target audience. However, I really am not a fan of Slinky Dog Dash, as it's just really boring and forceless. The launches are super weak, and the ride layout has a lot of meandering, which again leads to the ride feeling forceless. I will give Slinky Dog credit for being visually stunning as you walk through Toy Story Land. It makes the area feel so alive and gives it kinetic energy, which is oftentimes what makes themed lands work so well for me. It's why Tomorrowland is my personal favorite theme park land of all time, with the People Mover, Astro Orbiter, and Tron, which we'll get to later. The theming is also a big plus, with all the giant toys and boxes that show that the coaster is a kids' play set built by Andy. Really cool touch there, and my favorite bit of theming is Wheezy singing at the end, "You Got a Friend in Me."
Some of the folks might be a little bit smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too.
I also enjoy the queue of this ride, but for some reason I feel like it just moves so slowly. Moving on to our number 7 spot is going to have to be Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, and in all honesty, I have nothing but good things to say about this ride. But there's just one glaring issue, and that is the length of the ride. It's super short and cuts off what could have been one of the best Disney rides of all time. What's actually here, however, is great, and I especially love the rocking trains that rock you back and forth through the twists and turns of the ride. The dark ride section is also really cool, and it just shows the creativity behind this ride and that the Imagineers did everything they could with what they had to ensure an awesome ride experience. The rock work is also really nice, and the theming is second to none. It's just super disappointing that it's such a short ride, and that factored in with the absurd wait times that this thing pulls just come together to make it not worth it. And if this thing never had a wait time, I would love to just ride it over and over again, but when you are at the most visited theme park in the world, there's just no way. And up until recently, my opinion on this thing was mostly negative, as I just viewed it as a family coaster with decent theming. But for some reason, my last 2 rides completely changed how I view Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It might have had something to do with the wait time not being very long, or I just sat in the right seat. Either way, I do enjoy this ride, I just wish it were longer. Before we move on to number 6, I would like to take a brief intermission to mention that we are almost at 100 subscribers. This is a pretty huge milestone for someone first starting out, so please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I'd appreciate it more than anything, so make sure you hit that sub button. Now number 6 is really where my hottest take comes into play, and I can't wait to get cooked in the comments for this one, but my number 6 spot for this list is going to be Big Thunder Mountain, and ever since I was younger, this ride just didn't stick with me like other Disney rides. The only part that is truly iconic to me is the facade, which is awesome to see in Frontierland, but the actual ride for me just falls flat. The theming is not bad by any stretch, but it's just a little too loose in my opinion. That is not to say it's not a good ride or anything, I just feel like if you aren't going to give me thrills, give me theming, and if you aren't going to give me theming, give me thrills. But Big Thunder Mountain is just kind of in the middle of both, providing decent theming and decent thrills, but doesn't excel at either one. It's just never been my favorite, but I understand if this is one of yours, and I can't change the way I feel about something, and I have to be honest with you guys. Coming in at number 5, we have TRON Lightcycle Run, which again is just too short to put any higher. The canopy that you see as you walk up to the entrance is truly breathtaking, especially at night when the lit up bikes fly overhead. The pre-show is also short and to the point, with one of the coolest effects ever in a pre-show, where the screen becomes see-through and you see a train launch through. The rest of the queue is a bit meh, but I do appreciate a short and sweet pre-show, unlike some other rides out there. The station is cool as well, and the trains being bikes is so awesome. The launch is also incredible, and it's seriously one of my favorite launches of all time. I don't know what it is about it, maybe it's the way the seating is set up, but it feels so fast for absolutely no reason. It's seriously quite the rush. You then fly over the pathways before the indoor section with some cool screens and visual effects, and then it just ends. Yeah, if you were wondering why it's so low on my list after I've had nothing but good things to say about it, it's once again due to how short it is. It ends just so abruptly and could really use a few more elements to catapult it into the higher tier of Disney rides. Both the indoor and outdoor sections could be a bit longer, and I don't think anyone would be complaining. Especially the outdoor section because of how visually appealing it is from the pathways down below. The indoor theming is really nice and adds to the racing theme with the props and the screens, but some animatronics would have been nice, and of course some more ride elements. Much like the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I would love to ride this thing over and over again, but due to the wait times and the fact that it's at Magic Kingdom, it's basically impossible. Number 4 may raise some questions, but I'm putting Space Mountain here. Now I know what you may be thinking, how can you say that Big Thunder Mountain's theming doesn't do it for you, but then you put Space Mountain 2 spots ahead of it when its theming is literally just darkness? And to that I say I don't know. Something about not being able to tell what's going on really heightens both the thrill and the immersion. The queue is also one of my favorites in all of Disney World, and the music is also phenomenal. The Star Tunnel music might be my favorite track on any Disney ride ever. The ride experience also just does exactly what I'm looking for, as I'm a fan of older rides and the way that they feel. Many guests complain about the roughness, but for a ride themed to flying through space, I feel as if it adds to the experience. I also love the bobsled style seating, which is unique to this version of Space Mountain, and it makes riding in the front all the more exciting. The sudden drops and turns are almost impossible to predict unless you've been on this thing many times, and even I, as someone who has been on Space Mountain many times, I still don't expect some of the drops and sudden turns. The parts of the ride that do have theming other than stars and darkness are really cool, like the blue strobe tunnel thing, which is really immersive, especially in the front. I really love the sound this thing makes. Just downright classic. This is followed by the lift hill, which looks nice and is cool to see from the people mover as well. The sound effects that are played on the ride are iconic and classic and also add to the theming as well. The red re-entry tunnel at the end of the ride just comes out of nowhere and almost feels like a jump scare and caps off the experience with some more cool theming. The exit is also well themed as you walk back to Civilization, and who could forget the ball pit? Moving on to our top 3, I have Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith. I am a huge fan of classic rock and thrill rides, so this is right up my alley, no pun intended. Starting with the queue, which is a music studio that you walk through before viewing the pre-show, where the band members are heading to a concert. This pre-show is filled with iconic quotes that will be sorely missed when the Muppets take over.
Wait a minute, I love that idea. How about some backstage passes?
In fact, make it a super stretch.
Their manager then grants you backstage passes to the concert, and you head out into the alleyway where you board your limo. This is followed by not the best launch ever, but one of the best launch sequences ever, which is one of the most hype moments on a roller coaster of all time. The countdown gets me pumped every single time. The ride layout is really nothing to write home about, but it is pretty intense, and it's the only ride at Disney World that goes upside down. I would be lying if I said this thing wasn't getting somewhat rough, especially towards the back row, but again, roughness, as long as it's not excessive, doesn't bother me too much. The on-ride theming adds a lot to what could just be a typical thrill ride, with all the road signs, the donut, and of course flying through the Hollywood sign. But really, the reason why I love this ride so much is the music and the theming. The coaster layout itself isn't too special, but Aerosmith absolutely carries this thing, which is why the Muppets retheme has me worried. Rock and Roller Coaster without a great theme is just a roller coaster, and I hope the Muppets do it justice. That being said, I am upset that I will never get to ride Rock and Roller Coaster starring Aerosmith ever again. And actually, as I was writing this script, I checked Instagram and found out that the pre-show had been completely removed, so that's fun. I now have a very tough choice to make on my number 2 spot between Cosmic Rewind and Expedition Everest, but I think I've made my decision that my number 2 favorite roller coaster at Disney World is Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind. The theming on this thing is absolutely incredible. I love the queue as it feels like an Epcot pavilion but on another planet. It's a perfect excuse to put the Guardians in Epcot and not make it feel forced. The pre-show is a bit drawn out, but I will never forget seeing the teleportation sequence for the first time. I was just dumbfounded how the entire room changed in a matter of seconds. I also really like Terry Crews and Glenn Close here. They both add a lot of character to the pre-show, and I'm a big Marvel fan, so you can imagine how hyped I was for this thing. I didn't ride Cosmic Rewind before the third Guardians movie came out, so it was awesome to see these characters again after their final film. After the pre-show, however, the mad dash to get to the station could have been planned out a bit better, but the station itself is really cool, and we haven't even gotten to the ride yet. The vibes of this ride are immaculate, with the floaty atmosphere of you flying around with the Guardians. The music also adds so much depending on what song you get, the best ones being September and Everybody Wants to Rule the World, and the worst being Conga and Disco Inferno. The on-ride dialogue is hilarious, and even though the plot isn't the strongest, that's not really important here. One thing I would like to mention is the spinning ride vehicles, which are awesome and is mostly why this is the most expensive ride ever built. It's also smooth as butter, adding to the floaty atmosphere. The ride vehicle spinning as you approach the galaxy and planets is such a cool idea and an awesome effect. The launches feel powerful, but not too powerful where it compromises the floaty vibe. So why is this not number 1? Well, the ride experience can vary depending on what song you get. The first 3 or 4 times I rode Cosmic Rewind, I got September and Everybody Wants to Rule the World every single time. But on my most recent ride, I got Disco Inferno, and I came off the ride genuinely upset because of how much worse the ride was because of it. There's also the fact that everything is a screen because all the animatronics were cut due to budget issues, and I'm a sucker for animatronics. But those are all minor nitpicks of what otherwise is almost a perfect coaster. Now down to the best coaster in all of Disney World, and by process of elimination you've probably figured out that it's Expedition Everest, one of the only perfect roller coasters on the planet. Unlike the other entries on this list where I make general statements and just explain why it earned its place on the list, I would really like to paint a picture on Expedition Everest. From the moment you enter Animal Kingdom, Mount Everest is looming over the entire park, and throughout your day at Animal Kingdom you'll catch random glimpses of the almost 200-foot tall mountain. You can also hear sound effects from the ride echo throughout the park. You'll just be enjoying your meal or whatever it is that you're doing, and you'll just hear. You finally make your way to ride Expedition Everest, which doesn't take very long considering there's only about 5 rides at Animal Kingdom, but anyway, you see not a grand canopy or a spaceship, but a humble outpost dedicated to exploring and artifacts and statues from previous expeditions. The Imagineers actually took a trip to Nepal to ensure everything was accurate to their culture and folklore. The theming is breathtaking and is some of the most convincing theming of all time. Despite the 200-foot tall mountain, it's not grand or out of this world. It's completely grounded and makes you feel as if you are actually there. As you continue through the museum, you start to see Yeti imagery and different depictions of the Yeti, which start to convince you that this may be more than just folklore. This is one of the greatest queues of all time because of the realism. Other queues may be more elaborate or fancy, but none of them can capture what Everest does. Next, you approach the station and see your vehicle, a steam train which actually blows steam out of the back, adding to the realistic theming. You start your journey with a relaxing stroll at the base of the mountain, and then you hit the lift hill, which pulls you through a temple with a Yeti mural, and you hear his roars off in the distance. I would like to take a moment to appreciate the sound design of this ride, as it feels like it was designed to become ingrained in your brain forever as that time that you went up against the Yeti. But anyway, you pass through the mountains, and then all of a sudden it's revealed that the Yeti himself has ripped up the track, and the only way to go now is back. You then of course fall backwards through some twists and turns, and then you see the shadow of the Yeti ripping up more track before plummeting down the mountain through some twists and turns, then back through the mountain. You come back out of the mountain, go through some more twists and turns, and then back in the mountain you go. Now you finally come face to face with the Yeti, one of the biggest and most complex animatronics ever built, which doesn't actually work, but the strobe lights do their job and the Yeti is still terrifying anyway. The ride then concludes with you escaping the mountain and the Yeti roars in anger, thus concluding the ride. Now you may be asking why I brought you along this journey, and the reason is to show you the phenomenal storytelling of Expedition Everest. It paints a picture start to finish with absolutely no words, only visual storytelling. I hope you now understand why this is my favorite Disney coaster of all time, and if not, I hope this gave you a new appreciation for Expedition Everest. That's gonna do it for my ranking of every coaster at Walt Disney World. Comment down below your list and I'll be sure to reply to every comment, and don't forget to subscribe while you are down there. I'm not yet sure what I'll do for the 100 subscriber special, but I had this idea to do a let's play of the Disneyland Fortnite crossover or play a Disney Parks game, but only if you guys would be interested in that. There's also a Disney World Minecraft server and an official Magic Kingdom mashup pack for Minecraft, but I don't know how many of you guys play video games. So I thought maybe a Disney rides tier list, you know, just something to showcase more of my personality as opposed to me reading off a script. But either way, I'll figure something out and I'll keep you guys updated. And that's going to be it for today's video, so I'll see you guys in the next one.